what it figured out. So, all right.
Is that just for houses that get connected to it, or?
Well, actually, it's gonna go through the whole town. They got a 400-foot limit from where it goes down the streets. Park City was one of the roads I think was figured for it, but not all the way down because it's too scattered past a certain point. All the main streets, we had a big sign up on the wall here last year, covered the whole gas line. It's still, Sam's got a copy of it in there.
It's running. I was recording this, but I just turned it on, so I missed the whole last 15 minutes. It's working now.
No, it's fine.
It's working now.
Okay.
I forgot to push the button. So I'll add that information before I send it on YouTube. Okay? Any other questions on the roads?
You mentioned the cemetery. Do you know when that's gonna happen?
Whenever my DPW can get to it. We already got the rock. He's trying to catch up.
Talking this year?
Pardon?
This year or next
Yeah.
year? This year?
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be done in, I imagine, in the next month. Yeah,
They're using the same blue rock that's in all the parking lots.
that's the same as the Heritage Trail rock. Yes, sir.
Approximately how many miles of road in the township need to be improved? And over the next 10 years or whatever, how much do you think realistically we'll be able to fund being repaired or have appropriate improvements?
Okay.
Going forwards or backwards?
I'll get it, I'll take care of it.
Right.
They, when I first took this job, they put me in charge of the roads. I done a drive on every road in this township, rated them from 1 to 10. 10 being the worst, number ones, and we're good for a few years. We didn't have the money, so we were piecemealing it, trying to keep everybody happy. Well, I want to thank you all too for that last millage, actually to fund the roads. We got, how many mills was it?
It's
2?
3 mills for 10 years, which allows us $2.2 million. We have already $260-some thousand sitting in the account now.
Right.
So that's $2,400,000 and some change.
Yeah, so it's looking, it'll take us 10 years to get where we are, but then if we renew it again, that we'll just keep working it. Before there wasn't a road millage, we get a little bit from the county, but now it'd take 5 to 10 years to do a half a mile. So, I mean, we're actually doing pretty good on what we're doing. Getting this road out here done. We done Hawks Drive 2 years ago. That was done. We're trying to work our way out, because I know a lot of these roads are really bad. But if you're on a road that's bad, I'm sorry, but we can't, we have to look at the gross, like if we're gonna spend a mile of road, $400,000, we have to get the bang for the buck. We can't do a mile of road for one house or 2 houses. We're looking to keep it in, I mean, people on Fence River, I feel sorry for them, but I will live on a road that's just as bad, and I'm in South Republic. So, I mean, we're trying to keep things going. Some of the roads we're gonna grind up, turn them to dirt. That way we can grade them. That's, springtime might be a little rough, we're gonna try to stow
Park
it.
City Road right now.
Huh?
I like Park City
Oh,
Road.
yeah, it's great right now, I agree. But,
The county 2 years ago estimates all the townships what it would cost. I was at that meeting, $12 million just to do our township to bring them back. Okay, that's $12 million to bring the roads back. And that's not, you gotta go back and repair them every 5 years. You gotta do crack seal, you gotta do motorcycles, dirt bikes, side-by-sides running along the side of the road, tears them up.
Yep.
They're legally, they can ride on the road with their stickers and everything if they're licensed. They can be on county and city roads, they just can't be on the highway. They are tearing the edge of the 601 up here. They're starting to tear the edge of the road on Hawks Drive.
Yeah,
And
they are.
the edging starts to crack and breaks down. So I don't know how to tell these people to start driving. I know they can have soft tires, but, put it in a vehicle and drive it to where you want to hot rod around, in my opinion. But we have trail systems for the side-by-sides. I mean, I know they have to drive on the road sometimes, but they're tearing up the edge of the road. There's another road in 2025, doesn't cost us a dime. The county got a safety grant from River Road along 601 down to the corner of the stop sign, where the big field is, Wickerson Corner. They're putting guardrails along the river and redoing that road in 25. So that's another road that will be done. Okay, and all we can do, like Frank says, we have to be realistic. Fetch River has 190-some people sign a petition, gave it to the senator, gave it to our representative, Sarah Kapensky then. I also have it in my office. There is a lot of property tax money out there. They don't all live here, but they pay big bucks. That's one reason we're doing that road, plus the school bus. The school bus is getting torn up. It's one of 2 roads in this county that has to pay a special delivery fee to go down that road to get stuff delivered to them. A gentleman bought new windows for his cabin. The truck went down there and delivered them. Every window had a crack in it. The next time they came with the new windows, he had to go out on 95 and pick them up himself. They wouldn't go down that road. So, and that's one of 2 roads in the county that the delivery trucks, the big ones, forces them to pay extra. And that's one reason we're doing that. River Road is a flooding problem. There's only 22 parcels out there. 22 parcels now. How much money do we throw at that? We have to fix the standard area. I understand that in the low spots. So we're gonna have to throw some money on that. But just to let you know, you've got 22 people out there that own property. And how much is that coming in to fix a $200,000 patching, piecing it together? That's what it's gonna cost the River Road, around $200,000 to piecemeal that for flooding. And that's not counting the other road. Park City Road, and watching about 5 years, maybe less, we'll have to crack seal. It's just the way winter is here and all that. And that will keep it preserved for a while. And eventually, 7, 8 years, we'll be crack sealing. And I don't know if I'll be around then, or half of us will be around, so. But all we can do is keep moving on the road. Yes, sir.
I was just gonna ask, I mean, all these roads you're talking about repairing, is there gonna be some of them blacktopped, or is it just gonna be seal coating, rock poured over them?
No, they, blacktop.
Blacktop?
After they're blacktop and taken care of, then once they crack, you crack seal them so they don't get worse, so the water doesn't get down there. Then it's the chip sealing to add more life to them. Okay, and then if we want to turn them to gravel, we just pulverize them, which isn't that expensive, and we just add some gravel and use what they pulverize. And that's how that process. But you just can't go over and chip seal or anything where you got potholes and all that. It just won't work. So those are the processes. Yes, sir.
Thanks for the summary. So it sounds like there was 30 years of deferred maintenance where there was no funding for the roads, and that's why they are the way they are.
At least that.
Let's see, you got 30, 40, 50, 60 years, basically 60 years. And the county gets $311,000 in logging tax money back to the county for 19 townships distributed.
We don't get it.
That's not enough money. They use that for culverts and other things. That's all they get from the state. We're the biggest county in the state of Michigan. And we got a lot of logging going on here.
Good.
That's what beats the road.
And that's all the county gets, to let you know, and the county's been cut back on their budget. And the COVID money, the county commissioners gave them $2.2 million or $3 million to go in the chip sealing business. And this is the first year they're doing that.
I go another
COVID
question.
had to do with chip sealing.
Yeah, it's not. On the roads, as far as it goes, like a lettered road, or if it's a numbered road. I know one or the other, the county is fully responsible for each one of them. I can't
Okay.
recall which one it is.
County's responsible for all the roads. We don't own one road. Our roads in town, the county owns.
Well, when I retired
paying
from the
for it,
county though, when it come to paying for the roads, it was either lettered or numbered, and the county was responsible for one of those roads.
Okay,
And I believe it's like 601 is more or less responsible, the county is
right?
put the bill for that, and any of the lettered road, the township puts the bill.
No.
They're only
Divide
responsible
it,
for
don't they
maintenance.
divide it, pay half and
Yeah,
half?
like,
It's a 60/40 deal with the
60/40,
county.
okay.
And any work we do with the county is a 60/40 to repair. and that.
Okay.
But if we go to ask for a new road, we end up paying. Now, Fence River Road, they're giving us $113,000 toward that. So that brings our bill down to 300 and whatever the difference from that is, 370 or something like that.
It's a 5-year payback at 82,000 a year.
Yeah. But
At
they're,
8%.
they're basically kicking in what it's gonna cost us on interest and everything, so. But they pulled that money from somewhere, so, the reason we can't get grant money for Fence River or River Road is because by the government, it's considered a dead-end road. We know that the road goes on somewhere else, but by the state and feds, it goes nowhere. So there's no money to put into them. So that's why, when you saw 601 from 95 to Fence River, there was grant money from the state put into that road. The township put $30,000 in when they redid that road. That's all the township put in. All right, any other questions on roads? Yes, sir.
What's the difference in cost between the gravel maintenance and the asphalt maintenance?
A lot.
A lot, and I don't have that answer, but I can find out for you.
Which is a lot, the gravel or the?
The gravel's cheaper.
Because all they can do is grade.
You grade it and you just add some gravel. The asphalt, you have to crack seal, you have to crack seal the cracks once they start coming. If you don't, it just gets worse. You have to fix the edging once it starts breaking down. Potholes. So hopefully when we redo this road, we don't have a giant rocks growing up there, right? But we'll take care of this road best we can all the time. We'll be throwing money at it to keep this a #1 road. I also like to do the beach road coming in and fix that. We gotta do something with that culvert. We're gonna talk to the county about making a lift coming over that and dredging, ditching along the one side, the north side of the road to the beach. If you notice, it hasn't been ditched in a long time. That used to be ditched, so the water would run more down that way. We can get that culvert down. The rocks have to be shaved off. They're too big to remove, but they did a couple rocks down there and shaved them. So those are what we like to see done, and it all depends on the money and the maintenance, because we can't go spend it all and then have no money for 8 years and not be able to do nothing. I can come back to the public in 5 years and ask you to extend the 3 mills another 10 years. We could always do that. That can always be an option down the road. I do not like to come and ask for mill money to raise your taxes. I do not want to do that. Anything else on roads?
I got something. Dealing with the county engineers, I've been butting heads with them since I got up here. They like to grind, they don't want to grind up a road. They want you to put asphalt over 2-3 inches of gravel. Gravel doesn't, asphalt is only as hard as its base. If you put it over something hard, fine. If you've got a crack and you just asphalt over that with a little gravel, that crack comes back in about 2-3 years. It sinks right there where that gravel. They're not using crushed stone. They're using a bank run sand gravel mix. Well, it's free floating. So when they come in and they do a road with 3 to 4 inches of sand, then pave over it, they did that at Hawks. It took about 6 months for the cracks to start running down the side of the road because the sand moves. The weight of a truck or car actually pushes that asphalt, puts a big crack in it. That's the county's way of fixing things. The correct way is like what we're doing here. We ground the road up. There's no cracks in it now. put it back down, pound it down, that's an extra 3 to 4 inches of gravel base on there, plus what's already there. The county even agrees that's a better way, but they won't do it. They want to do the cheap out. Well, we're Fence River Road, they're trying to do the cheap out part. They want to do 3 or 4 inches of gravel and level it. But because we're using them as the financee, they're going to do the same to that road. So instead of being a 10 or 15-year road, it's going to be a 7-year road that's going to need a fix. So you know that. That's just,
That's what they did on 601, I mean, and even Hawks Drive. They didn't mill it down. What they done is just put gravel over it and blacktop.
that's what I said.
I mean, there was an improvement over the road that goes without question. But the thing, I mean, it did right away, you had culverts that were lifted
Oh, yeah.
and.
Well, that's the county way of doing things. To do
But
things
before,
correct.
I
yeah.
mean, Champion Township, Fish Lake Road, I was there working, we ground that road.
Yep,
Put crushed over it and then we repaved it.
yep,
And I mean, that is the way to do a road
right.
and not just put gravel or seal coat over it and rock.
Right,
And
that's-
call it a fix.
Well, if you do a 7-year road like they did on Hawks over here, if you do that, then you come back in and you chip seal over that after, once you get about 10 years life in it. All that does, the 7 years, or the chip seal, you put in that emulsion, that asphalt, when they chip over it, actually, if people drive on it like they're supposed to and move around on it, those are actually good roads. You'll get 15 to 20 years out of that road. But to do it the way they're doing it, want to do Fence River or these other roads where they're just putting gravel, it's not a good way. But like I said, if they're financing it, we have to do what their engineers want. So,
And here's what, to do Fence River Road, the 5 miles, is $1,200,000.
yep,
$1,200,000. Just to do it would be about, to do it the right way, this is just to layer it. To do it the right way, you're talking about $2 million.
yep, to do it right and do it right.
And we don't have that kind of money. The county doesn't have that kind of money. So we have to do the best we can do and do the 4 inches and 2 inches of asphalt. So that's the process now that the county does. That's all we can afford to do some of these roads. We needed Park City to be a Class A road. That's always been, that's old 95, that had to be a Class A road. So, anything else on roads? Yes, Aaron.
Yes, with the river being low, has anybody checked that the equalization culverts by 2 holes are plugged? And there's actually water seeping through the roadbed from the pond
Yeah.
on the other side. to-
Over here, yep, the county,
If that continues, that road is gonna be,
the new foreman's been unplugging the culvert and opening it up. I watched it for a week flow out of that culvert like it was a fire hose. So,
There's a spring on the right-hand side.
yeah.
yeah, but it's also seeping through the roadbed in 2 or 3
Right,
spots.
that's the county's road, and they're aware of that, and they'll be fixing all that in 2025. They move at very snail pace.
How long can you tread water?
Okay, any more questions on the roads? All right, I'm gonna be putting this on YouTube. We lost the first 15 minutes because I forgot to push the button, but I will try to add into it. All right, let's move on to the Republic Dam. As you know, we got $750,000 from a risk management grant for dams. It's new this year. We got it. It's a 10% match to that. We got $250,000 on a fishery reduction grant. That is to remove the dam and put a fish patch in. That's that's 10% match also. We have an MDARD grant we've been holding on to since 2018. They've extended it to us. They don't want to give us the money back. They want us to use it. That's 100% match. It's 100,000, we have to match 100. We right now in the process of bonding 350,000 of the millage money that you approved for the TIFA, for the dam modifications. So we're doing a capital improvement bond so we can take that 350 and use it. It's actually $426,000 on the millage, but we want to play it safe and have some in the kitty. Another $350,000 capital improvement bond is for Park City Road. Those bonds are combined into $702,000, and we're waiting on a bank to buy those bonds right now, First National and Iron Mountain. That will do the project for the dam. The 350 will match all the money. The engineering aspects and all that can be taken out of the grant money, which we've already spent almost $500,000 to get to this project. The Eagle right now is writing the permit to give to us for the construction of the dam modification. Once they give me that, next Monday or Tuesday, I will be shutting the gates down for this summer, and that's it. The dam will be removed by end of, if you look at the schedule, the end of October, the dam will be gone. I gave you handouts. The back of the sheet shows you the scheduling so far, what will start happening. The dam removal will start on 9/30 and will be done in 30 days. And then the rest of the work will start, and this project is supposed to be done and start and over with by the end of March. The completion date is 6/1. At Weir, Rock Crib Spillway, Weir, whatever you want to call it, will be set at 1492. Coming in and sloping to 1491. They're requiring us. We can't go straight across because if it's a dry season or something, they want water to go downstream. It's like a bathtub. You keep filling it up and it goes over. You can see this design. This is the dam that's being taken out. This is the design of what's there now, and if you could read the little thing. This is unique, never done in the state of Michigan. There's 100 and some of them out west and in Minnesota. The doctor works for the DNR in Minnesota. He's put 100 and some of these in. What it is you can see the little blue pools, those are pools where the fish will come in and rest. The rocks going across, there's little channels. There's a little channel for different sized fish will swim through that channel into that pool. They won't be doing this. And then they'll get up to the top. Then they'll do that. They'll follow the water up over. The velocity, the hydraulics, will be greater in the center, so your better fish like walleye and northerns can handle that and some bigger bass. The smaller fish will take the other course because less velocity, less. So that's the design. It's unique. It was so unique after we presented it. We've been working on this for a year to get Eagle to come on board. Every step's been with Eagle and the fisheries. And they like this so much, they asked to use it in a training exercise for the DNR and fisheries. We said yes. Once we knew they asked us that, we were pretty sure 90% that we were going to get the grants. So I just wanted to let you know I did. If you want to copy the whole projects on any of this, I can get them to you. But I didn't want to give you the semantics, the engineer drawings and all that. But this is what it will look like when it's done. Basically underneath.
So now we know where to go fishing.
Yeah. After a few years, the fish where they spawn come back to lay their eggs. Right now, a lot of them never come back up this river. So eventually this river will get a lot better to fish.
We'll stock it.
And if the DNR fisheries will let us stock it. They used to stock it a long time ago. All right, anything on the dam you'd like to know? Yes, Tony?
Yeah, where did they take the elevation, or how did they determine the elevation?
We determined,
M95 bridge yet, or no?
what, 1492?
Yeah.
The dam was always regulated at that to run the mine for 140 years. That water's been backed up for over 140 years. I can tell you in 1849, when the first surveyors came here to survey the township, there was a cabin and the mine side where the dam is now. 4 people. In the surveyor's notes, it was an 18-foot waterfall there with a 900-foot rapid with an Indian trail, portage trail around it. So that's in the surveyor's note. I showed that to the state. They don't care, because I said, what fish jumps 18 feet? So that's what used to be there. And if you look at all the streams and that, I've got maps. Downriver, there's streams that will get the fish upriver. They will get upriver to other places in the spring. So that's how the fish get and work around. They didn't need to come up that river. But once this is done, it will be good fishing. Eventually, you'll see everyone down there.
Isn't that the high water mark spot?
Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Isn't that the high water mark now for the water now? Isn't it 1492?
1492 was on our permit for 5 years, okay? The mine ran it at 1492. If it went down to 1485, they had pumps down at the Michigami Dam pumping water into the river. They did that twice to keep the mine running. So historically, it's 1492, and that's what we went with.
I mean, you're measuring that inflow up on top now yet, like when you used to run the dam,
No,
You don't
that's
do that?
that's bent, that's no good, the one downstream's no good.
Okay.
The one that was at the dam's gone from the flooding this spring.
Yeah.
So they will give us a permit to operate. I know how to run. I've ran it for 13 years, those gates. So I know how to regulate it. And without water, it's gonna take me a month to bring it up just so we can get some kind of water, unless Mother Nature rains on us. It takes 3 days for rain up in the high country to get to us. So if it rains really hard up in the high country, it's 3 days before it gets down to our basins. And I know that because it happens all the time. And it could rain really good that night, and all of a sudden you'll see that river jump a foot. I've seen that happen.
That's why we get noticed on floods when it gets hot in
Yeah.
the spring.
So,
Because it takes time for that water to.
yeah, that river takes a while to get it from the high country. We also get water from up behind your place up in there, Blackberry,
Yeah.
up in that area. That feeds us water into the river. We get some off the Spruce,
Yeah.
and most of the rest of it comes from around Michigami. They have it's a dam, they closed off, and it's a spillway now, but no water goes over it after spring runoff. But it goes around in the wetlands and comes back into the river.
Oh, there.
Yeah, and I keep asking them about the dam, and they never got a permit to close the dam off or put more rock up there at Lake Michigami. And I keep asking them, why are you hitting our town and you're not hitting them?
They never said anything. did they?
They wanted to.
No, they knew it. They knew it. They pulled the permit. They had the permit given, and they pulled it, and the Eagle let them pull it.
Another thing they don't have is a spillway for a fish ladder more. or less
No,
for
they
them to
don't.
go. I mean, they just put a rock
Yes,
spillway in there, and then they capped it off with finer rock
yes.
so they could drive over it.
I've walked there. I've walked all the way up there and took
Little
pictures.
gate.
so.
And I mean, how come they couldn't,
That's-
what is the length of this fish ladder that you are talking about?
This is about 900 foot.
And I know over by, what was that? Otter River, when they got a spillway there, and what they have there is it's just like a U on the end of it. And that's all it is. The fish go up one side of it and on the other side. It's no 1,700 feet or anything.
No.
It's not even probably 20 feet.
No, but this has taken us 7 years to get to this point.
Yeah, it's I agree
Yeah.
that it's good to get that.
Yeah. All right, yes, Don.
I have one quick question here. When this is all said and done at our dam, is our water levels going to be basically the same as what they are now?
No, let me.
Not what is out there now. It's
No, I
gonna be,
mean, what they historically have.
Yes.
been.
Yeah,
Okay,
Yes.
so whatever's happening upstream
Shouldn't affect us.
Doesn't
affect-
matter, whatever Michigami did. doesn't
Right,
matter.
so, what will happen though, if, let's say it's not raining like right now,
Mhm.
in the middle, you gotta remember, it's
Correct.
1491.
Right,
So,
it may drop.
that's a big drop,
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. It's gonna drop like it has now,
right,
Not to that
which
point.
is, but that feeds downstream, which has to be,
right. But
we can't just.
but if we have a normal rainfall and everything, it should run perfectly. Downriver should be satisfied, upriver should be satisfied.
And everything should be normal because there's no such thing as global warming.
Well, everybody, all the people that lived around here knows when the mine was operating, what the water was like.
Right.
Okay, so that's what we're trying to get back to. Without that, that's our artery, that's our heart,
Okay.
the artery to our heart.
Absolutely.
Without that, our town slowly dies. Property values, whether you live on the water, people say, well, that's the people on the water. No, it affects them, and it slowly comes out and affects your property values also. It might take 10 years, but it will happen. If the river stays the way it is.
And will we have water levels for the fishing derby?
Next Wednesday, I'm supposed to be able to shut the gates
Okay,
and
perfect.
start doing a rain dance because we need a lot of water.
Katie Lunton can come in the summer too.
But you gotta remember, I've been out there in the Derby when you've still seen the rock piles,
Oh, I know.
okay? And if you wanna fish and catch nice walleye right now, the time's now, not when the river's full.
Yeah.
You're gonna get the bigger ones right now. So, yes, sir.
All this, including the fish ladder, will be done a year from now? Like
Look at
you
the
said,
schedule,
Yeah.
it's
June 1st?
Yeah, so that's next year.
next year.
Great.
Now, that's if the people that's gonna do the work will work through the winter, which I think they will because winter is not much and they own the property right next to it. To let you know, we are hiring Lindbergh. We have to go through some hoops to do it, but he has all the rock. He's worked with CCI, he bought the dam, he sold the dam to us. He knows the dam. He's helped us out on the gates so we could have it down for 5 years. He fronted us the money to put the gates in, and we got a loan and paying it off. So he's helped us out a lot. He's required to give us a okay for the land usage and the spillway where the crib will be, and the land for the going down below it. We only own 50 feet along the dam. So he gave us a letter that he will allow us to use the land for this project. And I think he wants to sell it to us, so that's another thing I have to look at. So that's proof that probably we'll be doing the project. So that will start, and I will be shutting the gates. We have water for now, but I'll be starting to open the gates in September because in October, we're gonna start the project.
Okay.
All right.
Okay? All right, any other questions?
What was the driver for the fish crib or the fish ladder? Was that a condition of doing the
Conditioned by
spillway?
the state of Michigan.
Really?
Wasn't
Okay.
And this goes all the way back to 2000. The township board turned, CCI was gonna build one. They got 150,000, the township from the state to put toward that. The township said no. Okay, a fish ladder was supposed to be put in it, that came back as a fish ladder. Then, the township said no to it because they would have had to pay $500 insurance while it was being under construction. Okay, so that was turned down back then, but in the findings that I find, the state still wanted a fish ladder. At first, they okayed a spillway, but then they came back to put a fish ladder in. That brought the price
So
up.
that was a condition of having the spillway put in?
Otherwise, our dam,
State-driven
all
requirement? Okay.
all dams they want removed, okay? They aren't gonna remove hydraulic dams. They say they want all dams, but they're leaving the hydraulics, so.
Yeah.
And there's 3 other dams below us before it gets to Lake Michigan. Our water goes to Lake Michigan. So, they want a fish passage, that's a new requirement. Otherwise, we'd have to take the dam out, and you see what the river's like.
Yeah.
That's how it would be all summer. Unless it rains, it would come up a little bit, go back down. And that's why we need it.
I might have missed it, but the incremental cost of that fish crib, what is that relative to the overall?
To do this whole project is $1.5 million to $2 million.
Okay.
Okay? We're looking for one more grant from the federal government on fish and wildlife. They have a grant for the Great Lakes. They said if Michigan gave us a grant, they'd match it. So we're hoping we'll get that, and that will cover us for the whole project.
I mean, if we were to take the fish crib out of that, just hypothetically, right, what would that save us? That's what I'm trying to understand.
I think they wouldn't let you do it.
I don't
Well,
have
that's what it
that.
sounds like, but what's the added cost to having this crib? I'm just curious.
Oh,
Probably $500,000.
$500,000? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
just curious. That's,
We don't want it.
I have the stats.
I'm all for better fishing, but
Right.
I have the stats at home if you want to know.
I'm just curious, John.
Because this has changed over the last year according to Eagle.
Yeah.
We have to keep changing things. This is what's been submitted right now to Eagle. The permit went out for notice, it's over with. They're writing everything to start this project and to allow us to shut the gates for this summer only. And they didn't have to do that. They didn't have to do that. Because you can't extend a permit or anything. We wrote this in our permit if they okayed this, to allow us to shut it down for this summer.
How many years ago was it we said yes to the dam, and was it 30 years ago? And they said no because of the fish ladder?
I've been working, the TIF has been around since 2009. That was created to get the water level. Okay? I took over in 2015 as chair of the authority. Then when I came supervisor, by law, I cannot be chair or vice chair. I can be secretary or a member representing the town. It's an entity in the town. It's separate from the town. They cannot spend money without town approval. They can't go out for bonds without town approval. So that's how that's controlled. It was set up to go for a water level. And
When CCI said they would pay for it,
Oh.
many, many years ago.
that was in 2000, and they had 150,000. Glenn knows that. And you know what they did with that? Instead of going ahead and doing the spillway, they took that 150,000, gave it to CCI, and bought where the campground is now, Northern Lights. CCI owned that property, and that's what that grant money from the state went to buy that. And then in 2013, we went and got a grant to put a campground in there. Because you know how it was before that.
Yeah.
It was this madhouse over there. So, yes, ma'am.
I don't see anywhere on here, it talks about the permits that have been obtained, right? The permits for all of this?
Yes.
So you do have the permits?
We should have the permit by next Wednesday.
Okay.
They're writing it, there's 3 different departments that have to put it together. You got hydraulic people, the fisheries, and Eagle, which is the ODEQ.
Okay, so is there another section of time then that's allowed for the bids to do this? Or has that already been done? I don't see that here. Who's going to do it?
Well, I only gave you something to look at. I can give you the whole thing, but we have not gone out. Like I told you, who will be doing the job is Lindbergh.
Oh, okay, all right.
Lindbergh, Roger Krim, is it called Republic Mountain Lake Inc.
Okay,
They own the mine. That's what it's under, but Roger Crimmins runs Lindbergh. He's the head spokesman for that LLC. That's
so
an
you're already
LLC.
aware of who's going to be doing all of this work? Okay.
But we have to go through steps with the government on these grants. We have to fill out certain papers requesting him, saying we think he's the best person to do the job.
Okay.
Because by grant money, you have to go out for bids.
Right.
And I don't see anyone beating them with all the rocks right there.
Well, and I know there's not a lot of companies out there that do that kind of work anymore. It's
No.
It's a big job, and I see all these dates, and I just think, okay, now is there something allotted in here to put out the bids? But if you already have that company, that's
Yeah.
I didn't want to see another delay. It's just,
See, he's locked us in from the beginning,
Okay, all right.
because he owns the property upstream and downstream to do this project,
Okay,
okay?
right.
So he's locked this in, we signed an agreement with him, he understands we have to go out for bids.
Got it.
But there's another process to do if he's not the lowest bid,
Okay.
to present to the government to choose him because he has other dams he owns.
Well, and that's the thing, you know, I know that once the permits are obtained, then you have to go out and seek bids, and, you know, so that's another time period.
Right.
But if that's already been done, then.
Right. No, it hasn't been done yet. We're still waiting on the 750s. There's paperwork, red tape. There's still red tape going through, and the engineer's taking care of that.
Always ready.
Yeah, so.
And that slows things down.
Yeah.
So looking forward to this.
And this stuff will change. The Eagle was always had. The final plans aren't set in ink yet because this is just a concept plan. They move forward with this and their engineering changing. Because if we gave them a whole complete print and they turn it down, we got to pay again for another print. So you do it a certain way so you keep the cost down. Any more questions on the dam?
So the rocks are being stored.
Yeah, if you guys, anyone wants a copy of this, there will be one in the office and you can get it. Or I'll put it on with the YouTube where you can access it. The whole complete package. All right.
The rock for this project had to come out of the ground a year ago and stored in a pile. So all the bacteria is off, all the dirt bacteria is actually off it before they'll let you put it in the water. That's what kind of red tape there is with this dam. So you stored rocks, 3-foot rocks in a pile.
Well, rocks have COVID.
Oh, yeah, probably.
And then Mark, this whole passage will be done. The rocks will be set off. They'll be marked. The crane that they'll be using to set them is a computerized, and it will be programmed to put certain size rocks or numbers right where they're supposed to go on the plan within inches.
Yep.
Okay.
Not just throw them in a pile.
Quick question, Jim. What is the plan if we don't get the permit next week?
We got the permit.
Okay,
I
I heard it's still in the works.
Well,
They just have to sign it.
they have to do the thing. It's coming to me, I talked to the people yesterday, and he said he'll have it to me Monday or Tuesday. I sign it, scan it back to him, I can shut the gates. I have our
Contingency
representative,
planning, right?
Jen Hell.
Gotta go.
Our representative, Jen Hell, I went to her and the senator to go to Eagle because I was looking for an emergency shutdown, which we did in 2018. The governor was a Republican, and our senator was a Republican, but he got them to give us emergency orders to shut the gates down until we got new gates for the dam. So that was possible, so I tried to do that. They contacted Eagle. Eagle told them as soon as the public notice was over with, they would give it to us. So I did try to put some pressure on them. So I don't know if that worked or not, but we're gonna be able to close them by next Wednesday.
Great.
You'll see the gates close this weekend, but they'll just be above the water line. It's a $5,000 fine a day if I drop them gates. Okay? All right, anything else on dam?
No.
All right, let's move on. We already talked about natural gas. Everyone all right with that? Okay, Republic Multipurpose Recreational Area. I gave you this. This is the company we hired, $15,000, rock solid. They did a place down in Traverse City. They did a big place out in Arkansas. They do it all over the country. These are one of the premier people for mountain biking. If you look, I gave you, this also, if you want it, I can give you the whole concept plan. This is what they come up with. If you look on the trails, we also want to go to the river, along the river that we own. That, they're coming July 20th, and I'm walking with them, and we're walking up in this area where the runoff or wetlands to see if we could put some boardwalks or wood bridges. So that we're checking July 20th. I got a meeting with Rock Solid. This is, if you look, The estimate is $270,000. And it breaks it down into the trail system, the river, signage, all that. The only thing it doesn't have in there, which I've accounted for, what we're filling out a Spark grant right now for this, is vaulted toilet. A vaulted toilet, like we have over here, the campground, is $36,000. They're only about $18,000, but they have them installed and all that stuff. So you add another, let's say $50,000 to this. But that, we can go for grant money too. I've got 2 people on the rec committee, and they're both sit on the planning commission. They're writing a Spark grant right now, it's submitting Monday. They also are gonna keep writing a grant for a trust fund grant for this, which was due April 1st of next year. So we'll keep going for grants to try to get this project in. This is the last piece of land that the town owns that's for recreation. I'll tell you about the other piece we're gonna talk about in a little bit. So this is the concept plan that they came up with. We hired them, they're very good. They've done stuff up in Copper Harbor, all over the country. They're one of the premier people. I checked with other people, the pricing was about the same. So I said, let's go with someone with, that has the knowledge, better knowledge. So I just wanted to show you that. If you have any ideas for up there, yeah.
This is just past the end of the blacktop on River Road?
No.
Where is this?
Okay, you know where the 18 snowmobile trail is? You know where the farmhouse is? You know where Newt's trailer is?
Yeah.
Okay, from Newt's trailer, going in front of the farmhouse, up the snowmobile trail, over the first gravel pit, is owned by the township.
Okay, okay.
That little log cabin was cut out, 5 acres was cut out of there.
Yep.
I'm not even gonna go into
Don't know where
that. But we aren't gonna use from the farmhouse to Newt's because it's wetlands in there.
Alright.
Okay, so basically from the snowmobile trail up, cutting across and coming down, if you look at the map, there's a cut line up here. If you look at a map on Google, you'll see a cut line. And that goes right along here and then it comes across. We're only gonna utilize this area where the 18 trail comes up. And part of this right here. The farmhouse is way over here. So, if you look, this is where the log cabin, we own the land along there. This is where it's at. You know where I'm talking about? You know Anderson, the hill, the Anderson? There's 2 gravel pits. There's one that goes up the hill by Anderson.
Yeah.
The other one is ours, where there's an orange gate to it. That's an old gravel pit. And if you look up, if you can walk up in there, it's pretty hilly. It goes straight up, flat plateaus, comes down. It's good for mountain biking. Mountain biking is the biggest thing going everywhere. It's good exercise and everything, and we want to have multiple purpose. It will be walking trails in there also. You can use it in the wintertime for cross-country skiing, snowshoeing. They even mountain bike in the winter, believe it or not. Yes, Tony?
Who's gonna maintain it after it's built?
Republic Township DPW. Very small maintenance. Very small maintenance. We got volunteers, the rec department. They're willing to do
Is
it.
it gonna take special, because the mountain bike trail's narrow, are you gonna need a special brush
This
or
is,
something?
I believe this is 3 foot wide. This will not be handicap accessible. We will not get points for ADA. Unless we do something along the river.
Yeah,
I mean,
and the snowmobile trail's remaining where it is.
the snowmobile trail will stay where it's at, and that will be fixed going up. Hopefully, Lindbergh owns property up here on the back side, and Holly called and asked us if they could go and chip, when they chip that, if they could use our road, and they would fix that road for it. If you've been up that way in the spring, there's one big hole up there that will tear the bottom of your truck up. So he said he would fix that. So they're not up there yet. I've talked to them, they're not ready to go there yet. But they will.
But you're planning on leaving the majority of the trees and everything in there?
Everything. The only thing we're cutting is the pathway.
pathway through.
Everything's staying natural.
Yep.
Not logging a darn thing out, not taking fallen trees out. Everything will stay natural. And just let it keep growing. Yes, ma'am.
I'd just like to say that I lived up in Copper Harbor, I have a camp up there, and this company is legit. They do an excellent job, and revenue that Copper Harbor has seen just because of the bike trails is immense. So I think this is really good for the community.
Yeah. They have, what do you call it, rallies or up there. I was up there last year, I couldn't believe it. I could not believe these people are actually going down these hills. It's crazy. I mean, it's like jumping out of a plane for your first time. It's crazy. But they had a lot of people up there. It brings a lot of people to town. These bike, Escanaba put one in. They got these kids all coming down there using it because they got a smaller track for inexperienced people to learn. That's what this is set up. There's 3 different track systems. So that's what we're working on. It might take years to get to it, or unless we get a flood of money somewhere. But we're trying on different grants. I got 2 grant people that understand. They took the classes. One already knows how to write grants, so we're trying to do that. Any other questions on that?
So there isn't a timeline yet?
No timeline. It is basically waiting for money to come from grants.
Okay.
We're offering on the Spark grant to put $54,000 match. If we go for a trust fund grant, it'll be a little more. We do have income coming into town. We have $111,000 we have not spent from COVID money that we got. We didn't have to get it. We didn't lose any income, anything under COVID, but they gave it to us. We'll take it. We sold $45,000 worth of property in South Republic that was donated to us, that they came into our coffers we haven't used yet. And we're getting nice tax incentive from the new business on 95, $52,000, not him personally, but all the county people that are in recreation, and you have an ordinance and they're in your town. It all goes in one pot, and then every town that's in it gets a slice of that pie. It turned out everyone got $52,000. So that's income we wouldn't have never had before. We have new houses going on Cedar Street in South Republic. It's a dirt part of the road. That's being developed now. And we have a few more properties to get rid of.
We'll go to the next one.
And then we're moving to upgrade our recreation house. All right, any more questions on that?
What's the total here?
All right, where am I now? Now let's moving on to, no, ordinances.
No, cemetery property.
No, I'm not going to cemetery yet. That's at the bottom. You just hold on.
That's the dead end. Sorry.
That's the end of the day.
Yeah, that's solar front. I just want to tell you, we talked about that ordinances. I wanted to bring that up. I don't play games on social media. I hear about what's being said. I'm going to tell you right now, I will not stop giving out ordinance violations. I've got more to give out next week. I will not stop. We will not have an enforcement officer. Well, I'm not going to pay. The board already turned that down. As supervisor, I am legally can give out the notices, and I can give out civil infractions as supervisor. And you don't have to pay an enforcement officer. I strongly believe in cleaning this town up. I am not sticking to the straight ordinance. I'm sticking to the principle. Hide your stuff. I don't care if you put it in your garage, put it in your backyard, your side yard, tarp it, hide it, get rid of it. I don't want to see it in your front yard. I don't want to see tall grass. I'm going out about 7 people next week for tall grass. I mean, 8 inches is one thing, but when it gets up to a foot, and okay? Now, I don't give civil infraction out. Haven't given one out yet. I give a notice. I sent a certified letter once, I talked to them, I gave everyone till the end of June. So if some people I gave to doesn't clean up, I will go back after them. They will get 2 certified letters. The 3rd one, I will give them a ticket. The 4th one will be another ticket. The 3rd one is court. And if we go to court, they will be paying for our lawyer fee if we lose, which we aren't going to lose because I'm following strictly everything correctly. I do not plan on going to civil infraction. First one's $100, second one's $200, third one's the judge. And I don't think I will ever have to go there. Everyone's been pretty good, even though they gripe so much. Everyone that's griped got a notice and they cleaned up. Just to let you know, I've got people griping out there that don't live in town. Okay? They don't understand. Our water, nothing wrong with our water. It was brown because we had a break. It was drinkable, but I wouldn't have drank it either. But every year in the fall and spring, we have to flush our hydrants, and that brings that. That's required by law. In the newsletter, you saw the water report. That's required by law from last year's water report. Okay? If anyone ever wants to know the monthly water report, we have to take it to Whitewaters, which gives it to Eagle Drinking Water people, and that's checked out. Every month, our drinking water's passed its test. Okay, we're waiting on that grant for Coleman, and in that grant is to upgrade our water filtering plant. We also, by winter, have to put another well in down there. Right now, we're running on 4 wells. We're missing number 5. We had to cap it, had a crack in the sleeve, so we capped it, and Eagle's requiring another well. That will be coming in the fall. So, and the other thing on recreation, we are going to get an estimate and put a well at the beach so we can open that up to camping. It'd be like Moose Rapids, rustic campground. Okay, so the ordinance violation I'm very serious on, and I'll take the heat from people that why have ordinances if you don't enforce them? If you look at Iron Mountain, Iron River, Ishiming, Nagani, they're all enforcing their ordinance on recreational vehicles, junk cars, garbage out in the front yard. If you drive through it now, you'll see people have stuff in their front yard, but it's tarp. You can't see what it is. I noticed that the other day. So they're all doing it, and if you want to be like that, I suggest you buy property outside of town. So anything anyone wants to know on ordinances. Yes, sir.
I live out on 601, and maybe I'm a little disconnected from everything that happens in town. What are the typical violations that
Blight, blight, and more blight. It's usually abandoned cars, boats that are sitting there with storage stuff in it is illegal. They're never going to see the day of light and water again. Cars sitting there, I know cars that have been out there for 10 years. They're not for planning. Oh, we're going to use it for party. No, you're not. No, you're not. So they either get rid of them. Right now, you can get for vehicles good money. You know what they want from that vehicle? They want the catalytic converters. A truck with 2 of them you can get over $500. They just want the catalytic converters. Yes, sir.
I was just wondering, when they had these leaks or these water leaks, what was the percentage of the loss of water?
A lot.
Through that time?
A lot.
Do they have any idea what it was?
No, I'd have to ask Al, but we were losing water pressure. Our tanks were not, we were using an emergency well to keep our tanks up. And it was, the main one was over there in front of the school, on the corner, and then down where Charlie Nemi lived. Those 2 were their main leak. It was such a nice gravel, it went down in the ground instead of bubbling up or making a hole. It went down so that we couldn't find it. We had to hire a company to come in that finds the leaks for you. So
And
he
then,
found 1, 2, we found 3 leaks with that company.
Because, I mean, a few years ago, he had said something about putting the water meters in it. I mean, are we still We don't have no bill on that yet, or?
No, the
I mean, the
meters,
water goes
the
to
federal
different
government
levels.
requires the meters. I wasn't supervisor then, I went to all the meetings.
Yeah.
The government said they wanted meters, so they went around and checked and did all that stuff. You got the little thing outside your house, so they can read the meter that's in your house. But you're still only gonna pay what the water.
Yeah.
We have not changed to a unit price,
That's good.
okay? There is no unit price. So, the ordinances, I just want to let you know, I am very serious about cleaning up the town. There's still a lot of problems out there, but I don't want to go give civil infraction, I don't want to go to court. Most people are reasonable down the road, and it might take time, so just bear with some of the stuff out there. I've got chickens in residential area. That is not my job. That is a zoning administrator's job, because there's a zoning administrator. It's a zoning violation under the Hobby Farm Act. You have to have 1 acre or more to have a chicken. You can have a lot of chickens if you got 1 acre, but you have to have an acre of land.
5 acres.
5 acres to have a chicken?
Oh, that's an expensive trip to take.
Okay, we only have, I think, 2 properties in town, one on Willow and one right back here at the end of 2nd Street, the old Mecadin place. Are the only 2, I think, Hobby Farm, and out on Bankson.
Gotcha, Hobby Farm.
Yeah, but we have chickens, people call me, can I have chickens? I said, no, if you live in town, no. You got acreage? So, I'll let you know why that is. If you notice on Pine Street, if you went through the alley, the guy that lives there that has all the burnt cars and that, well, the lady that lived next to him had goats, had chickens, and I got a picture of them. I was gonna send her a notice. Well, before I could get her a notice, she had a light bulb in her shed. It started on fire, killed the chickens, killed the goat, and almost burned his damn house out. From a light bulb shorting up. And gas cans and gas blowing up over there. So that's why these ordinances are in place, for the safety and health of the public. We don't make them just to be,
And the chickens and the goats.
yeah. You know, I like animals too, but you got a backyard that's only 50 by 50, come on. So, that's enough on ordinance. Any questions on ordinance? All right, let's move on to solar farm. It's going in Humboldt, east of Perch Lake. Everyone knows where, is it Beaver Lake is? Where the old dump is? Remember where the old dumps are down there? Is it FW Road or something? That's where they're going. And then along the power line, on the east side of Perch Lake that's in Humboldt, another unit there. That's what their plans are so far. Upco. I gave you a map of the cemetery. All right? And Upco came to us and would like to buy the property north of the cemetery and comes around the side. Okay? We don't need that land for the cemetery, but this whole lot is one property. The assessor, approximately 46 acres. They would like to buy 40 acres, Upco would. That's going for around $1,200 an acre. That would be another $52,000 into the coffer. Now, I'd like to know what you think about solar farms and about selling this piece of property to Upco.
What's the benefit?
The benefit is $52,000 plus they have to pay all millages to the town. Road millage, school, and fire protection millages pass in August, which we need very badly. They would still have to put into it. And if they put a building or anything on there, that increases the amount they have to pay. So it's millages. And they would have to pay into the millages.
What would they use it for, just the solar panels?
They are kind of quiet on that right now. They said to get to the transmission lines. I showed them pictures of inverters downstate in Hull, Michigan. That they make pretty good noises. They make a good hum. So it's just, they came and asked us, And I said I need to talk to my board and talk to the public.
It's
So,
actually gonna be, we're planning on placing the collector substation for all of the solar cables that will come in, the
Yep.
underground feeder cables.
Yep.
From the actual panels will come into a collection point, and that's where they're gonna put the collector substation.
oh, up there?
So is it?
Right down by the cemetery is where they're planning
Yeah.
on putting the collector substation, then a short transmission line over to Birch Lake.
That's what it is.
Okay, so, there's nothing we can do about Humboldt. I have someone that's building on Perch Lake that's very upset about the Humboldt solar panel farm, which is Swift Energy's putting that in. It was going in our township on a Grant Lake Road. Granite Lake Road. And they switched to over there because they would have had to upgrade a system, $57 million, a substation over that way to make it work.
Plus all the line upgrades to bring it over hookup.
So that's why they moved over here. They already made a deal on the land and everything. It's already done. And UPCO has got an agreement with them, and they came the other day and asked me about this. So give me some feedback. Yes, sir.
3 years ago, well, 3 years ago, Township, we voted the parcel land, break it up in 5s and 10s. Because of its rock base, it's so sheer cliffs, we were looking maybe sell it as a chunk. But even with the values, but because of where it's at, and it's such high and rough terrain back up there, it would have cost us a fortune just to have it surveyed and cut up. And because of the way it was devised, when they had to go up a power line and come all the way in from the back. So with them coming to actually offer us money to buy it, it's actually a win-win for us, because we were thinking about cutting it up anyway. So I'm all for it. I mean, it's...
So how much noise is actually going to come out of this thing? These hums that you're talking about, they can travel a long way when it's quiet at night. And is it going to disturb, if it's that close to town, is it going to, I don't know that I believe that. Because that kind of noise, I can hear jets going overhead. I can hear trucks going down the highways at night loud when I'm sitting outside.
The substation that's there right now, listen to the transformer hum, that's what you're gonna hear.
I'm sorry?
The Birch Lake substation, the big substation right
Yeah.
now past the cemetery.
Yeah.
Go sit right there and listen to the hum from the transformers, that's all you're gonna hear.
Aaron's an electrician.
He's a designer for
Design.
How close to the cemetery is it gonna be?
Oh, it's up on the ridge. You been in the cemetery?
Yeah.
You go to the back end, there, it goes straight up.
I'm still alive.
Okay. It goes straight up. What is it, about a 50-foot incline? At least 50, 60-foot incline.
On the north side?
And then up there, there's rocks as big as your garage.
Yeah, I
The
know.
substation's gonna be on the other side of the rock wall.
Family owned part of it.
Yeah.
It'll be closer to the snowmobile trail.
Yeah, so, but we will not give up our rights to the west side of Perch Lake. That we will not give up.
So you're talking about right up, like to the snowmobile trail?
Yes, Heritage Trail, because there's the old railroad tracks with a gas line, and you got all wetlands there. You have an access road that gives the people 2 properties back in there. So, we're not giving up that section. If they want access rights across, we'll give that to them. But we're not giving up that side of our access to the lake, where the old water plant was.
Right, we're not giving that?
No.
Or the trails that are in front?
No, they can't. The government owns, the federal government owns that railroad bed. It's a highway. It will never go away unless an act of Congress.
Right.
And the state is on top. We could buy the top of the bed, which they were looking to do, so in case the railroad tracks came back into the mine, we would get a percentage of the ore that like Humboldt's getting for a quarter-mile track. That's all that would benefit them. But they already know about all this stuff. He said they already know our land up there. So they know more than we know, and they're kind of being hush-hush. But I just want to get your input before we move on. Yes, sir.
Can we kind of force them to buy the other 6 acres
So they take the whole thing rather than just 40?
Well,
What would you do with the 6 acres if they did?
well, that might be by the Perch Lake. The assessor can only break, he's allowed to break up or combine land. He
Okay.
said he can break off a 40.
So you can break off that 40, that's like.
Wherever the 40's in. Around the
If you keep it
cemetery,
by
we
First Lake.
roughly got 46 acres estimate without a survey.
Right.
We were gonna pay $6,000 to pay a survey. I said, no, let's wait. I went, because now, and then right after we did that,
Yeah.
UPCO calls out of the blue. So that's where we're at. And as we get more information, I'm not gonna keep you in the dark. We will not vote on the board without getting more information out to you about this.
So there'll be
Okay?
public hearings.
Because what's happened in the past, Escanaba area, there was one built, everything, solar panels, everything went up. The planning commission wouldn't give them the permit to operate because the people came out against it. Millions of dollars sitting there just wasting. Up in Houghton, the Indians jump on against it. They're getting ready to put windmills up there. It's the only place in UP you can use windmills. They wouldn't give them a permit to do that. The people came out against it, mainly the Indians. The tribal. So to make, I don't want to run in the same situation. We give up a piece of land. We've already made an ordinance for this. It would be publicized in the paper next week. Once it's publicized and goes through that routine, it becomes in our zoning ordinance. So we've covered our backs on an ordinance. They will have to come and get a conditional use permit to do anything up there. And that's up to the planning commission where it goes from there. Anything else on the land? I will keep you informed. We will send out, I will put flyers out if I have to, telling you we're having a meeting and this is in it. Because this is very important.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to say, I think all of us hear things and we listen in different ways. And the transformer that you're talking about, the transformer station is loud to me. And I can hear things, especially when the atmosphere changes. And something that's directly there, depending on where it's located, that's quite a few natural amphitheaters out there in that area. And I would highly suggest that we be cautious about the sound and what that's going to do to our community. Because I know in Marquette there, where the power company put those solar things, everybody living on the
Right street.
Bridge area, you go there, you talk to those people, how much they can hear from the transformers out of Wright Street.
That's
Yes.
actually in a hole.
I'm just
As you
saying.
turn it down on the hill.
I'm just making a suggestion.
I'm just saying, you guys, and I could have said, and I know you're all gonna come at me,
No,
but
it's a
I'm
good
just
idea.
saying, like, I listen differently.
Yeah, it's a
I
good idea.
listen differently to things.
No, everybody's opinions, there's no stupid question, everybody's opinion is worth, to me, everything. Irene, wait, I'll get you. Irene.
Kind of answering what you're saying on noise and transformer and such. They go through with this and want to put things in, they do have to go to get the conditional use permit from the planning committee. The planning commission can then put stipulations on it if that is an issue. I'm from Milwaukee, and freeways are very loud, and people who have residential areas, there are walls or sound barriers. It could be a condition for them to be able to do that if they put some type of sound barrier or something. But that's, what the planning commission would have to look into and decide. So that, it is a possible solution to a possible problem. Another thing I wanted to question too, the price that they're saying on it, do we have any evaluation? How important is this land to them, to their project? Will their project be null and void if they don't get all this property from us? Or do they plan on putting, something else there besides substations?
That, we don't know,
Whether the
Irene.
value is high enough for us to justify selling it.
Yes, we don't know all the answers yet. I'm working with Humboldt and their supervisor and planning commission. we're working together as the two townships, even though it's going in Humboldt now. We're still working together because we're right next to each other, and it concerns both of us. Plus, we got the wetland preserve out there we'd like to get into again. That affects the wetlands. So that's where we're at. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I just wanted to, once you start getting answers on what the property will be used for, whether it's solar panels or a substation, perhaps the planning committee can ask them to do a decibel test.
Yeah.
Because at a higher elevation, it's going to travel. So if they have a way to measure that at so much of a distance,
Yeah.
so it doesn't impact residents and
Okay.
migratory.
We just did a noise ordinance amendment. That's a police ordinance, not a zoning ordinance amendment. For events, we can go up to 1 o'clock. Otherwise, the noise ordinance is 11 o'clock at night. Now, if you can't have a conversation and all that, and the noise is too high, it's too high, it's a noise violation. I'll keep my radio down. But, yeah, so there is a way to go there.
I just got that, Jim.
There's another way to go there. But Irene's suggestion of them building a wall, sound barriers, more logical. But is it feasible for them to spend that kind of money? Yes, Terry.
In the solar ordinance, as part of the conditional use, they have to submit all the DP
Okay,
data, and of course the setbacks are tremendous on these things, even the panels and stuff, it's like 400, 500 feet or something from lot line.
okay. Terry, I don't know if you know Terry Knapp. He helps us write our ordinance or amend them. He wrote the solar panel amendment, our solar ordinance amendment, energy amendment to our zoning ordinance. It's sent to, once the planning commission has a public hearing, and it's sent to the county for a 30-day review. They sent it back to us. They approved with it 100%. It was a great job Terry did. The county didn't put anything they wanted. They usually put something in there, don't they, Terry? So, it was a very good job. Well done, Terry. So we're right on board, and Humboldt's basically going to go off of our ordinance and put theirs in. They're working on that right now. So we're all on the same page with Swift Energy and UPCO. But I will keep everyone informed of what's going on, because I don't want this to come back to what's happened in Escanaba and Houghton. I don't want us to look like we don't know what we're
Have
doing.
they told us how big of a solar farm they're planning on putting in yet?
So what?
How big of a solar farm? 100 megawatts, 150 megawatts,
It's
5 megawatts?
65 megawatts is what I'm told.
65, yeah, 100.
Yeah, I thought it was 65.
Big, yeah.
But they could have changed that. It's being changed all the time. They've had a meeting in Humboldt. We had a meeting here, then they went and moved it to Humboldt. We had a meeting in Humboldt. And all we know is UPCO came to us, and that's all we know right now. UPCO and SWIFT have an agreement. Don?
If we have if you change all this to a scale 1 to 10 in planning, we're right around a 0.5 to 1 right now, as far as what this plan is. They've approached you.
It's a maybe,
As far as concept planning.
maybe at about a 3 right now. That's about it.
So it's very beginning.
Yeah.
We don't really know a lot.
No,
There's no need to panic, no need to jump around.
no. And Humboldt could stop it anytime they wanted to.
Eagle
So,
can stop it yet too, they haven't even applied for any of the environmental
No.
permits yet.
Correct.
That's 2 years out yet. before they can apply for Eagle.
you're not gonna see nothing, even if they started your 3 to 4 years, that's if they even ever do it. The money might disappear, because this is all government money they're gonna be pulling.
Okay, all right, good.
Okay, any more questions on the solar? All right, moving on, the West End Township Emergency Service Authority. 5 townships, Republic, Champion, Humboldt, Ely, and Tilden are an authority for first responders. So we're waiting on our insurance for workman's comp, and that will come up and be running, we hope, with it this month. Our ambulance is gonna be leased to them for $1 for 5 years, all of our equipment. And if they're still in existence after 5 years, they will keep everything. Everybody has to give up their emergency equipment, first responder stuff. We have 2 EMS students that just passed the course. They get their license next week. If they're with the ambulance, they can deliver. If the first responders with the ambulance, they cannot deliver.
Transport.
They cannot transport. I mean deliver, yeah. So an EMS person can transport, which sometimes is quicker to get them to the hospital than waiting on the ambulance to get here. QPAD did a study for us. The best place to put for all 5 townships by accidents, fires, house calls, all that is along the passing lanes in Ely. Ely owns a strip of land there. The ambulance has to be in a heated building. You don't have to have water, but it has to be a heated building. So there's grant money to do that. Right now, we're just getting the first responders up, but the ambulance will be put back into service. I got a state of Michigan and a DOT inspection and signed off for what we needed to do to have the ambulance as a service ambulance. Any questions on that?
The 2 folks that you have, are they going to be like PMTs or drivers?
Pardon?
The 2 licensed folks you're talking about?
If you're first responders, you can drive the ambulance, but you only can do first responder stuff, oxygen and that. If you're an EMS person and go to the first responder, you cannot do EMS stuff, you only can do first responder stuff. But you have the capability to deliver.
Oh, wait, say that over again.
If you are first responders and you're called to a first responder scene when you're driving the ambulance, you can't deliver. If an EMS person comes on the scene, he can only do what the first responders are doing. He cannot do his EMS.
That's not true.
Why?
Not if he's with our organization. That's what the lady that teaches the class, Allison Leslage.
Allison Sundberg.
Son of a gun.
Yes.
She is making it so that the EMS basics cannot practice as basics if they're...
They cannot go beyond what a first responder does. At the scene. That's what I'm told, okay? That's what I'm told.
I wouldn't.
Whoa.
Okay, but Ely Township is running the program. Every 5 townships get a vote and have that. They're part of the first responders. If you know Allison, talk to her.
Oh, she's impossible.
Anyhow,
she's
I don't...
going to make this as incredibly hard as they can so that their system doesn't come out here.
Well,
that is just...
Her system is going to have to, because we're being put into her system. We're working on that
Well,
now.
we are right now. I mean, Bell comes out here.
No, we're adding more to that.
Right, but even if there's a...
You know Jeremy Lotso? Jeremy Lotso. He's going to be, he's mainly running this whole thing.
Okay.
He's the supervisor of Ely. And him and myself got together. This was an idea years ago. And we got together and said, let's do this. Humboldt jumped on right away. Champion came along. Ely basically takes care of Tilden right now. And so does West Ishining. So that it's just new in its infancy. We hope to start the first responders up. We have 2 EMS people in our town that they're passing. They're young guys that are in the fire department, and she praises them.
They're wonderful. I
So,
work with them.
yeah, so we need first responders. And, yeah.
Can I say something? Just makes me a little nuts too. I've not been involved in EMS in a long time. But anybody who runs on the ambulance is EMS, Emergency Medical Services. There are first responders, there are basics, there are specialists, and there are paramedics under EMS. So first responders can do anything that a basic can do except for transport. Okay? When a basic is there, then the first responder is in the driver's seat, can transport them when the basic is in the back of the rig. Doing patient care. When they're in the middle of transport and it's an abdominal pain or a heart attack or a stroke, paramedics are paged out to intercept with us because we are basics. We can't start IVs, we can't do certain things. So when we meet on the highway, when we're on our way there, they're on their way here, they grab their drug box and their AED, and we pull over, they jump on board, they do their thing, and then we take off for the hospital because we can transport. We don't, as in days of old, we used to take the patient out of the rig and put them in their rig on the highway in a snowstorm, and that didn't work very good. So what she's talking about, that a basic can't transport, I'm not sure that that's legal.
What I'm told,
we are a transporting agency.
We will be, the new authority will be,
Right.
but we're not yet.
Right.
But we'll talk about that
Yeah,
another
let's talk
time.
about
Because
that.
it's all new to me.
I'm just
a member from our township on that authority to vote on bringing everything that's done at that authority to a certain level. Comes back to each township for the township to vote on things. And then it's brought back to that authority for the final vote.
But this is what this township has been used to,
But-
what I just described.
Right, but
So-
it's changing up and I have to go, and the
Right,
state,
right, I
the
understand.
state's really hurting us a
Oh, I
lot
know.
in the rural area.
Jim, this is a wonderful idea, and I hope that this goes through. Just even last year, there was an accident on Pullman and 4th Street, a guy that was on a dirt bike. I called EMS, 40 minutes later, they were here. I was out of my mind by the time they got here, because the guy was fine, but still, had that been a heart attack? Or something
No,
significant?
I understand that because I was at a Humboldt meeting to look at Eagle on their annual for the mine. There was a gentleman with gout so bad he couldn't walk. They had to get a chair outside. I left 50 minutes later, the ambulance still wasn't there.
Right, I mean, it's just insane.
That's just terrible.
And so having first responders back here in this township will be a
Yes.
benefit.
Irene,
Do we know where the ambulance would be stationed?
right now, no. It's not, we can't use it yet. Right now, it's gonna be in our fire hall. It has to be in a place, you can't set it outside, it has to be in a building that's at least got heat. So right now, it's either ours or if Humboldt has room. But right now, there's no decision on that. It's just getting the first responders up. The first responders will get bags. The two gentlemen in town here will get bags, first responders bags, until we can get the ambulance. There's some paperwork to do yet on the ambulance stuff. Yes, all right.
Number 2.
It's my understanding too that if there's an issue, someone's had an accident or heart attack or whatever, the page goes to all of the first responders, EMS, whatever, they have pagers. And they will be paged and, asked if they can respond, especially if it's a volunteer. And so they would get the call. You said we have 2 local ones that would be qualified,
Yeah.
soon. So they would have pagers, so they could get the page, and they would know where it is locally, and they can, sign
Right.
that they're going to respond. So they can go, and they would be responsible for that 40 minutes until the ambulance, if the ambulance is in fact 40 minutes.
That's all done at dispatch, who gets called.
Well, that's what we're at, well, that's what I was saying, yeah.
Yes, so as long as people have people in their areas that are trained, I think it's going to work wonderfully.
All right.
All right, yes, ma'am.
With the would the first responders be employed, or is it voluntary?
Okay, you join the authority for first responders. They are paid 70, I think it's $70 a month. I mean, it's $70 a call. I believe that's how it's set up. And what it is, it comes down once taxes are all taken out. Right now, they're only getting $20. Okay? With this authority, every township put in by equalization on your equalization value of your township, put in so much money. We went with a $100,000 budget. That's all we have right now. Right now, that's paying for all the stuff to get legal. And then getting equipment, jackets, our logo. You'll get jackets, but they're getting paid decent money now because of gas prices and everything else. So they're paid for their services. And we pay for you to go to school. You got to give us 3 years. We'll pay for you. The one doing the EMS is costing me over $1,300. He just has to stay. He's a volunteer fireman too. The other gentleman is paying for it himself because he wants to go be a paramedic. So the first step is EMS. Any other question? Yes, sir.
You said something about after 5 years, everything goes to another entity?
No, it stays with them.
Who's that?
The first responders group, the West End Township Emergency Service Authority.
What happens in year 6 if the thing dissolves?
We lose our, you know what the ambulance is worth right now?
That's what I'm getting.
$6,000.
Giving away an ambulance.
$6,000. Is a 2005 ambulance only worth $6,000 in the Kelly Blue Book? Our equipment is worth $9,000.
Doesn't it be taken out of service after 50 years?
Yes, and in another 20, I think 2035, it has to be taken out anyhow. It's like a fire truck. All right, we got fire trucks that have to be taken out of service because they're over 25 years. And they do the same thing with ambulances.
But if you're giving your equipment to this entity and it dissolves, you're gonna have to start over anyway.
We won't have a service. We don't have one now. We haven't. Our ambulance has been sitting for 5 years, doing nothing but sitting there. And we got to start it up to keep the diesel running and everything. So, so our equipment, some of it's no good. Every so often you got to change out. Even if those gloves are even sealed bags, every so many years they have to be tossed. Even if they're sealed in a bag, there's certain rules. They're very
Expiration
strict.
dates on medical equipment are like up to 18 months. After that,
18
it's
months,
gotta be-
yeah. So there's a lot of equipment that's no good in there. We got equipment. We got
Then
one piece of
oxygen
unit.
tanks.
We got one piece of unit you got to be a paramedic to use. So does Champion. $10,000 unit, no one can use unless you're a paramedic. So,
That's the monitor?
yeah,
But if
some,
you're a transporting company, you have to have a monitor on the rig.
yeah. So they got one there, but Champion Champion has something. I've seen all the stuff from every township. Champion has more than we have.
So whatever.
They have the money though.
But
They've
they
been-
had a 100% grant to buy that, so that's why they bought it.
Yeah, plus they got,
If anybody knows anybody that wants to be first responders or paramedic or basic EMTs, they have to be 18 years or old and have been crying for help.
I
Really?
do volunteer education. I can't be an EMT or
you need to talk to the first responder authority if you want. I can give you numbers at Ely and talk to them. I am just sitting on a board. I know nothing on first responders and that. I don't want to play like I do. I'm just here to promote it, and I think it's a great idea, and pass the information on to the board and to the public. We need it. We haven't had it for over 5 years. We have people that will show up to scenes. We got a couple people, Myrtle, but she's done with that, she said. All right, are we ready to move on?
Yes, please.
Okay, events, I put that on there. We have an event coming up on July 7th, 8th or something, 7th, 8th, 9th. It's called Higher Love. They took the whole campground for that weekend. The bar is closing off a half of Front Street, and they have bands and all that going on. It's turned into an event. They are a marijuana business. They own the Elf site. They own land across 95 from the golf range. They haven't used it. They own in Escanaba, Iron Mountain, and Marquette, recreational distributing places. They are not selling marijuana in our campground. They don't have a license to do that. If people are smoking, nothing I can do about that. It's legal, okay? You're not allowed to smoke on the streets or in public. Yes,
It's
ma'am?
not legal to smoke in a campground.
Well, they're going to.
Is that
They're
on
going
our
to, just like
ordinance?
at the Derby. If no one likes it, call the police.
I'm just, you can't say it's legal to smoke there, that's not true. You can legally smoke in your own house, in your own room, but smoking in a public location
Yes.
is not legal, so
You're
that's
right.
not correct to say.
They will smoke there. They will smoke during the Derby. They will smoke when there's an event. There's nothing I can do about it. If no one likes it, call the police. It's illegal to drink on the street. People will drink on the street when there's events here. They have done it forever. So if you don't like it, call the police. The Derby will have police officers here. We will pay half the cost of sports and pays the other half. I am not a police officer. I will not go chase people down for smoking marijuana in the campground. So, just to let you know, they are not allowed to sell. The second event is July 15th. There is a disc golf event on our 9 holes being done up there. We put 9-hole disc golf up at the motocross driving range. The rec committee is putting on a tournament there on the 15th of July, which is a good thing. We plan on putting another 9 holes in, starting later on this summer. We got people that want to put a pavilion up there, donate a pavilion. I've got people that want to put their name and give us everything to do. And I said, no, we're not selling our area for you to advertise. So I said, if you want to give a donation, give a donation. But we're not going to give up our land for you to advertise. The other one is the fishing derby, 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. The beach will be, I already sent for a permit, will be open a week before the Derby and a week after the Derby. You can only go 14 days on a campground that does not have water. We are going for water at the beach to put a well. That won't happen until next year. So right now we have 5, you can camp down there in a tent, 5 tents is all that's allowed by law. So we had a big stink about that, and no one's used it since we changed that down there. They were all underage drinking and partying. Yes, sir.
Just a quick question. How many people are signed up for this disc golf tournament? I was wondering how popular this is.
This is very popular, and I don't know yet because I haven't talked to the gentleman.
So we're in the 50s, 50 people range?
It could be 15, 20. We're new. The school's getting a 9-hole course put in back there by the track.
Okay.
That was donated to them, so we'll have an 18-hole. The school will have a 9-hole. It's a big thing.
Yeah,
And I don't know how many signed up yet, but he's got the flyer.
Just curiosity.
He's got a flyer out.
I remember when that first started. It was popular.
And it's just like
25 years ago, 30 years ago.
When?
July 15th. I'll get the flyer, should be on the web, I'll get them out around town. The other event is August 11th, 12th and 13th is a marijuana event with a concert. That is going to 1 o'clock, the music. That is Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and into Monday. It's over Monday. It doesn't go Monday night. That is the recreational place out on 95 is doing that. He has a license from the state to put that on, which is required. He has to have insurance, he has to have the health department give him an okay for the porta johns, camping, garbage. He has to have licenses shown to me on all the vendors that are gonna be out there. So all this has to be done before he can have it. He's got everything but two things, and he can't get that until after the 4th of July.
And where is this at?
That is where the driving range is, disc golf and motocross. That is August 11th, 12th, and 13th. Last year they had a concert there, they didn't have the marijuana. He's the only vendor that's allowed to sell marijuana out there. He'll have it tented off, he only can do it in a tented off place. And the Sportsman's Club, like they do for the Derby, has a license to have a beer tent out there. And this is away from everyone. Last year they had 300 and some people in the rain come out there. This year, I don't know if we'll get rain or not. This is an event going on in our town that brings people. It was pretty good out there last year. There was no trouble. The police came out there and everything. So, and they will be watching it. To have the marijuana event there when the state gives them the license, he's paying for them to come and monitor him. They will be out there. The state will be watching it. So it isn't like you get to run free. The state, you pay the state money to watch it. Yes, you do, Irene.
No, he's
Yes,
not
you-
having a stake there, he hired his own
That-
security.
That's right, Irene. He has his own security and ambulance service, but the state sends people to watch over it. They're not in uniform. They watch over it. Every event that you see for marijuana, that they're selling marijuana,
He
the
hasn't
state
spoken
sends
to them yet.
inspectors
Just talked
to.
the state police and they have not been notified of it.
The-
I mean, I have dates yet.
You're not.
Irene, this is from the marijuana licensing people, not from the state police.
CRA, the Cannabis Regulatory Agency. the
Yes.
CRA.
Yes, that's who watches over them. And you don't know who they are.
It's like the plainclothes shoppers who watch over people stealing in the store.
Yeah,
It is.
yeah.
How long does the music go for?
1 o'clock.
AM,
Yes,
Sunday night?
yes.
And people who get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to go to work?
I
hear
guess.
it.
Well, if they stay late, that's their fault.
Half a mile? Okay.
Oh, you live a half a mile?
About that, yeah.
Well, I'm sorry.
Why are we allowing music
Why?
that late?
Because they asked for that, and then we're giving it to the event over
Didn't we talk
here.
about this though in
Yeah, we
the,
did.
in the
We-
meeting? And
we did
you
that.
assured us at that, at the
What
public,
meeting?
excuse me, you assured us at that public meeting, at that special meeting that we had about this, not long ago, that the noise ordinance, that music would not go on until the wee hours of the night.
We
1
changed,
AM. You changed it.
we changed the noise ordinance to accommodate some other people, so why would we hurt one group and give two other groups an advantage?
You changed it to push the time of the music to end later?
It's
Without
up to
public
the,
opinion.
it's up to the town board to decide if the event can go up to 1 o'clock. Otherwise, it's 11 or 12 or 1.
It
And the
was-
board makes that decision, not the planning commission. The planning commission voted, no one came to that meeting when they voted on the conditional use permit. The conditional use permit was voted on as long as he has everything that's supposed to have in the application. And the time would be to 1 o'clock. The event would go on. That was a motion. It went 3-2. It passed.
That's fine. What I'm saying is that at the public meeting, at the special meeting that we had about this.
Public hearing.
It was said that the music, the noise enforcement would not go on until a certain time. And now you're telling me that it's extended. I don't care if the event lasts. I don't care if the
I
event lasts.
have the
more than
minutes
one.
from that meeting. Nowhere in the minutes has there said anything in that public hearing where we said that the time limit would be 11 o'clock, ma'am. Nowhere, nowhere.
It was not said that it would be 11 o'clock. It said that it would be the normal noise ordinance hours.
That's
So if
11
that happens to
o'clock.
be 11 o'clock, fine.
That's 11
If it
o'clock.
doesn't say that in the meeting specifically, that's fine. But I don't think that having loud music like it was last year, I could hear it from my house. It was ridiculous.
Well, it's going to 1 o'clock this year, and I'm sorry about that. That's what the planning commission voted on. The board voted to change the noise ordinance because there's other people that came to a meeting and suggested and would like to see that. We like
After
to,
the special meeting, right?
it's not a special meeting. It was a public hearing on a conditional use permit. It's not a public hearing on a conditional use permit, which after that public hearing, everybody's input's taken down. That is taken to the next meeting for the planning commission for the conditional use permit to be given or not given. Under that, when that vote came, the motion was to accept the conditional use permit as long as they had everything that is required for the event to go on, and that the music go to 1 o'clock on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The motion passed 3-2. So the motion passed to go to 1 o'clock. That's done. I cannot override a planning commission decision. The board cannot it's the only thing the planning commission can do that the board cannot override is a conditional use permit. We cannot override it. Whatever they said is set in stone. You cannot get a judge to override that. Okay? Never. That's set in stone by law now. But what the board can do on any event besides a marijuana event that doesn't need a conditional use permit, we can tell them what time and what they can do and can't do as a board. Now, it's brought to us for 2 other events to bring the time to 1 o'clock. We looked at it, we talked about it, we said, okay, we'll change and amend the noise ordinance to 1 o'clock on events. They have to come to the board 30 days ahead of time to request more time on an event. Otherwise, it's 11 o'clock under our regular noise ordinance. That is...
Well, I just want it to be said that on a Sunday night, at the beginning of a work week, on a Monday, 1 o'clock is late.
Yeah.
It's far too late. And that should be considered next time this comes up with the board, that you have, in your words, the ability to stop that time at
Not
a
once-
reasonable hour on a work night.
The planning commission could have done that. They didn't.
Well, then that's poorly reflects on that.
People should have came, just because you had a public hearing on the subject, that's not over with. You should come when it's voted on to either vote for it or vote against it. You still have another chance
At the
to put...
meetings at a time when people are able
It's-
to come.
It's every second Monday of every month at 7 o'clock. Every second Monday at 7 o'clock is a PC meeting. The first Thursday of every month is a rec committee meeting. The fourth Thursday of every month is a board meeting. It never changed in the 13 years I've been back in this town. Unless it's a holiday or there's a special meeting that has to come up.
So how do you put out special meetings? I mean, because we haven't heard anything.
Okay, when it's a public hearing, it goes in the paper. And it's put on the bulletin board.
Not everyone gets the newspaper.
It's put in the website and it's put in the newspaper. That's all we have to do by law.
Right, but by law, yes.
By law.
But it seems like there should be a better communication between the township and you guys.
That's why I'm here now, ma'am. That's why I'm here now, to try to inform you.
And you
That's
put it in your monthly letter, which is how we found out about it.
We don't do monthlies anymore. We'll do every couple months, but
Whatever, but that's how we found this out. If it's a special meeting, you need to do something because there's no way that we're going to be checking the website every day.
well, if you're interested in town politics, what's going on in town, I guess you should check the website, or you can check the Republic Community Facebook or whatever.
Well, I do that.
They're supposed to put stuff in there. The rec committee's trying to put stuff out there. Every ordinance or public hearing and that goes in the paper and our website, by law. I cannot help that the public doesn't want to do it. I tried to do my best. I put flyers out about this. I don't have to do this. I'm doing this because I think it shows more transparency and it gets questions to me and I see what you got. I can't please everyone. I know you aren't happy about that. I'm really sorry.
It's the noise issue, you know,
I know.
I work, there are
And
people who are going to these
you also-
hot events on a Sunday night are not working.
And you also brought up about the ambulance service and that. He's hired UP Health Service. They're coming out. It's costing him about $9,000 to have an ambulance on site. Okay, so there will be an ambulance and service on site. It's costing him a small fortune. Yes, Irene?
I just have a question. The marijuana event, the smokeout, he had to get a special permit, conditional use permit to have his event. The Higher Love reserved the campground for their own use and have a band come and play. Then the bar said they want to close the street, and now it's being advertised as an event. Do they need to have a conditional use permit since it is an event now?
No, it's not a marijuana. Irene, it's an event, and if you look at the event application, the town board handles event application. Marijuana an event, the planning commission takes care of under a conditional use. This event does not need a conditional use. It wasn't an event to start with. If you were at the board meeting Thursday night, motion was passed that I go talk to them that they pay more money for an event because it's turned out to be an event and I want the money for the vendors and the event. And I want insurance. They've already been called and told they don't run this without insurance. So this is all being taken care of. Next week I'm taking care of it with the owner because it turned out to be an event. And yes, you're right, but it's not a conditional use permit. It's just an event which the town board has authority over.
Aren't there two forms to be filled out, one for marijuana, one for events?
Yes.
And are for conditional
There's
use?
two of them.
Yes. So shouldn't he have a conditional use permit for an event that is not a marijuana event?
No, Terry, you want to handle this for me with her?
Not really, but
Can you tell her afterwards? Can you wait until Terry explains it to you? There's two applications, one for a marijuana event and one just for an event. The one for the event, they have to have insurance and all that stuff too. But the board controls a yes or no, whether they have it or not. There's no conditional use permit for that, okay? You understand? Irene's on the PC. She's taking classes.
I'll give you a quick thing in here.
Okay.
The only reason the conditional use was put on that marijuana application because only the planning commission that can hold public meetings and the public hearing. So that way the township can get word into the planning commission and then of course they can set their priorities for conditional use. But it takes both the planning commission and the township board to
Right.
sign off on that event.
The marijuana event now will be coming to the board. Once it goes through your next board meeting in July, you have to kick it to us to finally approve it for that event up there.
So does it have something to do with selling?
He's got a state license that costs him an arm and a leg. He's losing money on this whole thing up there, okay?
A conditional use is for when there's alcohol or marijuana
No.
being sold?
No. Well, for marijuana to be sold up there, yes. We made that event a conditional use permit,
Okay.
which requires a public hearing to bring the public in to give their input.
Okay.
That's already been done,
Okay.
okay? All right.
I just have one really quick question about, sorry. You can go right after Okay, so Thursday night is when you voted on that party for higher love here, correct?
No, we gave them permission months ago to have a band stage and a band out there. That's all we did.
Because before that Thursday night meeting, people were sending me messages, and they had already publicized come party downtown Republic.
Once I saw that, that's when I brought it to the board.
Before that Thursday meeting, just wanted to put that out there.
No, that's when I saw that.
Marquette party downtown Republic.
That's when I came Thursday night, I saw that, and I made a motion to the board that we go after them to pay event costs. So that's why, that's where I'm gonna go talk to them, because they owe us money. They should have came to us for an event. And they've already paid for the campground for the whole weekend and all that. The bands are coming, so do we realistically want to say, you're done, you can't do this? That's not working with people. That's going to bring income to the town. So we'll make sure it's right next year, but I'm going to make sure they take and pay their fair share as everybody else has to. The other, I was going to talk about the other event. We got one more.
No, I was going to ask about something completely
Okay.
different.
There's one more event, is Retro Days, August 26th. We block off the whole street, there's a parade, it is the 70s theme. So I guess there's a lot happening in the 70s, you could still be a hippie, you could be disco, you could be... So, and that's all day long, and we got food trucks, they got the Croatian Chicken Man coming. I've already put an RV plug so he can run his equipment. He'll be out here across from the bar next to the Welcoming Center.
There's a cornhole contest to it.
Yeah, and they'll be all doing all that stuff, so there's a lot going on. Those are all our new events.
Hopefully it's not our one rainstorm in the year.
It'll probably rain every event, but, okay, what's your other question?
When is the tower coming in for the cell phones?
Okay, they're like the government, they work very slow. Passing, that's
Can you
taking...
hear me now?
Passing, that's taking all the stuff that they need to get out of the way. Most of it's all dead up there, so they're getting rid of it. And then they're already told, and they're working on their engineering right now. And once I get the engineering, it's going way up top, and I haven't heard nothing in the last 3 weeks.
Okay,
So I don't have
are you
anything more.
suspecting it'll be this summer?
I hope so. I hope so.
Thank you.
I will keep you informed on that Verizon. And those are our events. Is there anything that we haven't talked about you'd like to know? Yes, sir.
That dumpster that was in the parking lot across from the bar for just throwing out trash, has that been moved somewhere?
Right across.
In that parking lot there?
Yeah.
Okay, just wanted to check.
And we have the dumpster at the campground, which I prefer to keep for the campground, but we moved it over here.
What is that for?
Pine Grove and the restaurant have their own now, and theirs is locked down.
Okay, so if it's not locked, I can
Because
use it. That one.
we were paying for 7 dumpsters. The county, the school had 2. We were paying for the hardware store. We were paying for the Grove. We were paying for Summer Place. That cost us a lot of money. So we got rid of that.
So this one is for what?
That's for the townspeople. That's for outside the town.
Oh, okay.
If you got construction trash, take it to the DPW transfer station. If you can't get there when it's open, you just call them and they'll set up an appointment, usually 2:30. They'll be out there and they'll take your trash.
Yep.
But it's construction material, and this dumpster is mainly for outside of town. But we got rid of that. It costs us $114,000 for garbage pickup, another $40-some thousand for dumping it at Marquette dump. We're running around $160,000 to dump garbage out here.
We lost $25,000 last year just in tip fees,
Yeah.
dumping that stuff.
So we had to do something, so we got rid of some dumpsters and that, trying to save money. And that's all we can do. We're not broke, but we want to be fiscal minded and use our money the best way we can. And we have a lot of stuff, projects we like to do, as you see. But we need grant money. We don't want to take all our money and dump it into a project where we could get grant money and put a third of that in. It's like the $750,000 for the dam, 10% of that. That's a bargain. You know, if we had to pay 50-60% of that would hurt it. So, any questions, anything I could help you with? To let you know, anytime you want to talk to me, just call the office. My number is available. I'm there 24/7, 7 days a week. I will answer anybody. I've had calls at 10 o'clock at night. I've had calls at 7 in the morning.
And if he doesn't answer, I know where he lives.
And my email address is out there. I will, if I don't know the answer, I will find the answer and give you the right answer. I will tell you I don't know the answer. So, I thank you all for coming. This will be on YouTube. The first 15 minutes won't be, but...
We'll have a summarization.
Thank you for putting, thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Hey, Terry. See you, Jim. I'm out of here.
Thanks, Jim.
Yeah.